This week, we're going to talk about getting the most out of your rental property. LJ Aguinaga here with LJ Realties, and today I'm accompanied by
Francesca Gambitera.
So the first question I have, Frankie, is how does somebody make more money with a rental property? What do they have to be cognizant of?
Typically with a rental property, we're looking at doing yearly increases. It's super important that you do these increases. It allows you to stay in check with inflation and up with market value. So if you ever do try to resell the property later on, you're not selling with a property that has rent under value compared to everybody else, and it makes it easier for a buyer to take on that expense.
That makes a lot of sense. My next question would be, how do I calculate how much I can raise the rental?
So rental increases are based on the increase in operating expenses, and these operating expenses for the property are typically insurance, municipal school taxes, condo fees if it happens to be a condo, property management, and if you so happen to do any major renovations, those capital improvements will also be considered in some part to the increase in rent. And you can do these calculations on the TAL website, so the Tribunal Administratif du Logement, and that will give you the accurate number. You just plug and play your data and it'll feed out what you should increase the rent by.
Awesome. Now what happens if I send out my renewal letter and the tenant refuses my increase?
If the tenant refuses your increase, because you've done your calculations on the TAL website, you would just submit to them the numbers and show them the proof, and realistically they can't really go against it, so they get to choose to leave the property or accept the increase.
Awesome. Now, if I bought a brand new construction condo and it's been built very recently, are there any exceptions to the rule?
Yeah, so new construction has an exception to the rule. If the property is less than 5 years old, you actually can increase at will. And the kind of theory behind that and reasoning is that it's a new building, condo fees might fluctuate, taxes might fluctuate quite significantly as everybody's getting adjusted. So you're not entirely sure what your monthly expenses are. So the TAL kind of grants you that little leeway with the first 5 years.
That makes sense. The grace period while we figure out really what's the rental value of this unit, that makes a lot of sense. It's great to hear that there's that plugged into the system already. Is there anything else that we should be aware of for the landlords when talking about rental properties and really how to get the most out of it?
I mean, aside from doing your increases on a yearly, which is, like we previously mentioned, super important, I would just make sure that you do them on time. We see a lot of our landlords who forget to submit the form before the deadline, and then they miss out on that year's increase. And the increases, like we mentioned, are really important, whether you want to refinance the property or sell it later on or just keep up with market value. There is kind of no other way to do it with an existing tenant.
Awesome. Now what happens if my unit's been vacant for the last 12 months?
If your unit's vacant for the last 12 months, you kind of get to hit reset and go to market value. So let's say you were doing a renovation on your property. If you typically wanted to do it and have your current tenant increase the rent to subsidize that, it's not going to give you as much money as you might think in pocket. But if you're doing a renovation that might take over a year, then you can set it to a new market value and completely disregard what the old rent was.
Thanks for the excellent information, Francesca. I look forward to doing the next video with you.
Pleasure. Have a great day.